The Strait of Hormuz is once again at the center of a rapidly escalating maritime crisis. A vessel transiting out of the strategic waterway has been struck by an unknown projectile, damaging its engine room and causing a crew casualty, according to the United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations. The remaining crew were assisted by the Omani Coast Guard. The identity of the vessel and the source of the projectile have not yet been officially established. The latest incident comes after a string of attacks and attempted attacks on commercial shipping in and around the strait, which raises a critical question. Is Hormuz effectively becoming a war zone? And what does that mean for global oil shipping and the wider US-Israel-Iran conflict? The Strait of Hormuz is one of the world's most important maritime choke points. At its narrowest point, the waterway separates Iran from Oman and connects the Persian Gulf with the Gulf of Oman and the wider Arabian Sea. For decades, it has served as a crucial artery for global energy supplies. But today, commercial ships entering or leaving the Persian Gulf are facing an increasingly dangerous environment. The latest warning came on August 18. UKMTO reported that a vessel was struck by an unidentified projectile while conducting an outbound transit through the strait. The impact damaged the engine room and resulted in a crew casualty. The remaining crew were assisted by the Omani Coast Guard. The latest strike is not an isolated incident. In recent days, multiple commercial vessels have come under attack while navigating the strait. On August 14, 2 tankers were attacked while traveling outbound through Hormuz, according to maritime security assessments. Both vessels were reportedly hit by unidentified projectiles and suffered damage. Another bulk carrier was also attacked around the same period. The incidents have pushed maritime security concerns to a severe level. And the attacks are not limited to vessels whose identities are unclear. The United Arab Emirates has accused Iran of attacking vessels operated by the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, or ADNOC. The UAE says multiple ADNOC-linked vessels came under attack in recent days. No injuries were reported in those incidents, but Abu Dhabi has demanded that Iran stop the attacks and fully reopen the waterway. However, Iran has not accepted those accusations. That leaves commercial shipping operating in an environment where responsibility for individual incidents can remain disputed, even as the physical danger continues to rise. Iran and Oman have been working on an arrangement aimed at managing or restoring shipping through Hormuz. Reports indicate that discussions have focused on creating a framework for commercial traffic and potentially establishing a shipping map. But the negotiations have run into a major obstacle. Washington and Tehran do not agree on the conditions required to reopen the waterway. The 60-day deadline associated with the US-Iran interim peace arrangement expired on August 17 without a breakthrough. The agreement had envisaged steps including reopening Hormuz and reducing the military confrontation. Instead, the arrangement has largely broken down. And the consequences are now visible at sea. The geography of Hormuz makes the situation even more complicated. The waterway is narrow. Commercial vessels have limited room to maneuver. Iran controls a large portion of the northern side of the strait, while Oman controls territory around the southern approaches. That means any military confrontation involving the strait has immediate consequences for civilian shipping. A missile, drone, mine or other projectile does not need to hit a tanker carrying millions of barrels of crude to create a crisis. Even a single attack can force other vessels to slow down, divert or wait. And when multiple attacks happen within days, the psychological effect on the shipping industry can be enormous. That is why today's incident matters. It is another warning to shipowners that the danger is not confined to one particular type of vessel or one particular section of the Gulf. So, what is the current situation in Hormuz? The simplest answer is that the strait is not functioning like a normal commercial waterway. The latest vessel has suffered engine room damage and a crew casualty. And there is still no confirmed attribution for today's projectile strike. At the same time, Iran and Oman are attempting to find a mechanism to restore shipping. But those diplomatic efforts are taking place against the backdrop of a wider confrontation between Iran and the United States, with Israel also at war with Iran. The message from Hormuz is clear. The waterway has not completely stopped functioning. But it is operating under extraordinary pressure. Ships are still moving. Yet traffic remains at historically low levels. Commercial vessels are being attacked. The identity of the attackers in some incidents remains disputed or unknown. Diplomats are trying to negotiate a way forward. And militaries on all sides remain on high alert. The latest projectile strike therefore comes at a critical moment. And one more reminder that the battle over the Strait of Hormuz could become one of the most consequential fronts of the US-Israel-Iran war. Because if Hormuz remains effectively crippled, the consequences will not stay confined to the Gulf. They could reach oil markets, shipping lanes, energy prices, and consumers across the world. For now, the strait remains open in a limited and highly precarious sense. But with attacks continuing and diplomacy hanging by a thread, The question is no longer simply whether ships can pass through Hormuz. The bigger question is, this comes after US President Donald Trump threatened to bomb Oman if the Gulf nation gets in the way of Washington's efforts to resolve the conflict with Iran. The warning comes as a 60-day negotiating period between Washington and Tehran expired without a broader peace agreement, and as Oman works with Iran on a plan to restore shipping through the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz. So why has Oman suddenly become a target of Trump's fury? Donald Trump is turning up the pressure on Oman. In an interview, Trump warned that the United States could bomb Oman if Muscat gets in the way of Washington's efforts to end the Iran war. The threat is extraordinary because Oman is not an enemy of the United States. In fact, Muscat has long served as an important diplomatic channel between Washington and Tehran. Oman has been involved in back-channel diplomacy and is now at the center of efforts to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. But that mediation role is increasingly putting Oman between two sides that remain far apart. Trump says Iran must accept the kind of deal Washington wants. Iran, meanwhile, has been working with Oman on its own proposal for managing commercial shipping through Hormuz. And that is where the latest confrontation begins. Washington wants Hormuz reopened. Iran has been negotiating with Oman on a mechanism to manage shipping through the strait. According to reports, Tehran and Muscat were working toward a joint statement outlining a possible transit arrangement. But Washington appears unhappy with the direction of those discussions. Trump has made clear that he does not want a temporary arrangement that, in his view, allows Iran to maintain leverage over the waterway. He wants Tehran to surrender on the core issues driving the conflict. And that includes preventing Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Trump has said the United States is no longer pursuing an extension of the previous interim arrangement. Instead, he is demanding a deal on Washington's terms. And now, the clock has run out. The 60-day negotiating period associated with the US-Iran memorandum expired without a comprehensive agreement. There was no clear extension, and no indication that Washington and Tehran had closed the gap between their positions. Instead, both sides appear to be digging in. Trump said Iran should surrender. Iran, however, refused to accept Washington's demands. And the diplomatic window that was supposed to produce a wider settlement has effectively reached its deadline. For now, there is no clear peace deal. There is no extension of the 60-day negotiating framework. There is no permanent reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. And there is growing hostility between Washington and Tehran. Oman is attempting to keep a diplomatic solution alive. But Trump is warning Muscat not to interfere with Washington's objectives. That creates a dangerous new equation. Because this war is no longer only about Iran's nuclear program. It is now also about control and access to one of the world's most important waterways, and about who gets to decide the terms under which global shipping can pass through it. The 60-day clock has expired. And with Trump now threatening military action against Oman, the next phase of the Iran war could be even more unpredictable.